Hey y'all, I'm Elisa and I am the Scrappy Wife behind ScrappyWife.com, and today I have a special video for you. I want to talk about cleaning your stamps. So the majority of stamps I have are these clear acrylic stamps. You use the acrylic stamping blocks for them and they tend to get dirty. And I wanted to share a few of the ways that I have heard that you can clean your stamps, and I thought we would go ahead and try them out and see how they work. I will make sure to link everything down below if you're interested in checking out any of those supplies I use. Otherwise, let's go. Okay, if you are like me and you are a busy crafter, then the way you most likely clean your stamps is probably similar to how I do. So the most common ink I use is this VersaFine Onyx black ink. I stamp up or ink up my stamp. I'm going to use it on paper. And ta-da, a beautiful stamp. Now, when I'm in the midst of crafting, the way that I'm most likely to clean it off is by stamping it off on a piece of paper. A lot of times I'll stamp and twist to really make sure I'm getting it cleaned off. And you can see after a while, it's not leaving an impression anymore. So for me, that's usually good enough. But as you can see, some of my more loved stamp sets end up looking pretty dirty after a while. So there are some other options you can use to clean it off. Let's try. Another common way to clean off your stamps, especially after you've just used it, is with a baby wipe. So I actually prefer the off-brand of baby wipes for this because they tend to have less lint. And if you are leaving lint on your stamps, then more than likely it's going to have issues getting a crisp image. And you can see how it's coming up. You can see more ink coming onto the baby wipe. So that definitely is working. It's getting some of the ink off, including some of the older ink that has really worked its way into the stamp. And it does work. I do recommend after you've wiped it with the baby wipe, come in with something that's not going to have any lint on it, and that is definitely cleaner. It's definitely made a difference in that stamp, but of course totally not clean completely. However, that's probably good enough for the majority of your stamps. A simple baby wipe. I just keep a pack of these next to my desk for when I am working, and then I can just wipe them off as needed. Okay, let's talk about a third option for how to clean your stamps. This is a stamp chamois. Mine is from Lawn Fawn. There are some different ones out there. This is well loved. When you get it, it is hard. It is stiff. You go and run it under water, get it working. This one has some in it, but it's not dripping with water. I usually keep it in a trinket tray like this, and you can see it's going to clean real well. So I have here my leaf ready to go. It's actually a pretty clean stamp to start with. I'm going to ink it up, stamp it on my paper, and now it's very dirty, and I can simply come with the stamp chamois and you'll see it gets it nice and clean. That does a great job, especially if you clean it right away. You can see that is practically back to clear. When you have a stamp that is well loved, let me see, like this one. So if I can show you that one definitely has ink left on it. I haven't used it today, haven't used it in a while. These are fall leaves, so haven't used it since last fall. This is still gonna work, but it's not really pulling it all off. It's not permanently clean. So the stamp chamois works really well if you clean as you go. This one will still get it off. Like, it'll still come off somewhat, but it's not going to completely clean that stamp. Let's talk about cleaning stamps that are old, that have been sitting around, that are well loved, like this Elemental Alpha set from By the Well for God. I read online when I looked it up that you could simply soak your stamps in a bucket or a bin of warm soapy water. I'm going to drop the stamps in there. I'm going to drop the ones that are kind of rough looking. Soak them in there for a couple of minutes and then give them a scrub with an old toothbrush. So I will set the timer and we will give that a try. Okay, they've been sitting in here for a couple minutes. Ouch, it's pretty warm water. So I'm gonna take it out, and I have just an old travel toothbrush, and you can see that the toothbrush definitely is getting ink on it, which leads me to believe it's coming off of the stamp. I'm gonna do a little light scrubbing over there. I'll pull out my towel and just set them out to dry. I'll want to rinse them again in non-soapy water just to make sure that all of that soap is off. But yes, it's definitely making a difference. So if you have some older stamps, or like I said, well-loved stamps that you are kind of your go-tos and kind of get a little icky, then you may want to try this method of soaking them. It's barely any soap in there, just a little dab. And then scrubbing them with this old toothbrush really is cleaning them up pretty nicely. All right, I am super pleased with how well my Elemental Alpha stamps cleaned up. You can't tell from this side, but they did come pretty clean, which is great. But I wanted to see if I could find something that would help with stays on ink. Now, I know that there are removers sold by Stays On, and I'll link them if I can find them online. But I was hoping to find an at-home solution. So Stays On is notorious for staining your stamps, and let me show you. So this is a teal blue. I'll stamp it up and put it down. And you can see, sorry, I twisted my stamp a little bit. You can see it is on there, nice and good. I use my stamp Shammy. It is not coming off. That stamp is staying blue. So I read online that possibly using a bit of vegetable oil might clean it up just a bit. So I'm gonna put just a little bit here in the cap, just regular vegetable oil. And I'm gonna dip that same toothbrush in and give it a scrub to see if that helps at all. Now I'm scrubbing pretty hard. It still has a lot of that color. I see a little bit coming off on the brush, which tells me some of it is coming off, but not a lot. So now I'm going to dip the toothbrush in the soapy water. Okay, you can see that vegetable oil trick did not work. That is definitely still teal blue. Now, here's the deal. Stays On will stain your stamps. It's not a big deal. I can stamp this with a different color now. It's not going to continue to come off. It's just stained that color. So truthfully, it doesn't really bother me that much. But if it bothers you, you may want to steer away from Stays On or check out their cleaner that they offer. And you'll have to let me know how it works. I also found a recipe online for creating your own stamp cleaner, and it involves 3 cups distilled water, 2 tablespoons of glycerin, and 1 squirt of baby shampoo. If you happen to have these ingredients, you may want to give it a try. I didn't have any on hand, and so I haven't been able to give this a try, but as soon as I do, I will let you know. If you have tried making your own stamp cleaner, I would love to hear about it and hear how it worked. One last tip that I wanted to share is how to clean your acrylic stamp blocks. So I have these blocks. They get super foggy looking, get lots of stamp stains on them. And one great method that I have found for cleaning them is using alcohol blending solutions. So you can see how dirty this stamp block is. Let me start on the first side. I'm just going to do a little light squirt on the top. I'm coming in with a baby wipe. I'm just wiping it down really well. And you can see, look at that baby wipe, how much stuff has come off already. And then wiping that clear. Now I will flip it over to the other side to clean both sides. A little bit of the alcohol blending solution. Coming in with my baby wipe. And I'm being really firm with it, giving it a good scrub. And all clean. These are some of the most used craft tools in my craft space, so it's nice to have them clean and feeling like new. Thank you so much for joining me on the stamp cleaning experiment. I believe my favorite method is still going to be the Lawn Fawn stamp chamois for while I'm crafting, and then just a simple hot water and a little bit of soap bath for those stamps that might need a little extra go-to. I hope that you learned something today. If you have some tips for how you like to clean your stamps, make sure to leave them down below. I'd love to hear some tips and tricks from some seasoned veterans. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a fabulous day. And as always, keep it creative.